Hello, everybody. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Welcome to Faith-Based Workplace YouTube channel. We're about to get into this one. This should be a good one. Welcome, Danny. Oh, wait, hold on. My bad. Thank you for coming in, Danny and Adrena. Then my wife, Northfree Living in, is here, and we got a great guest tonight. My brother Phil Rizzo. So we're gonna get into this with female narcissist relationship cycle. Uh, it happens all too often. It happens a lot. So we want to talk about it. We want to reach out to more of the men, but it's something the women can learn from also. So let's get right into this one right after this. All right, everybody, let me bring Phil in. He backstage. Let me get Phil in here so we can get this started.
Hey,
Hey, how you doing, Phil?
hey, Solomon, it's nice to see you, bro. It's good to see you, man. Happy to be here.
Yeah, likewise. Hey, Phil, let's go ahead and start off with telling the people, a little bit about yourself right quick so they know who you are and kind of what you do and everything.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity to be on your show. It's a pleasure of mine. And like the sign says there, my name is Phil Rizzo, and I'm a high-risk security consultant. And what that means is we protect you from hurt, harm, or danger. And my company's name is Rizzo's Protective Group. And we work in areas of physical security, information technology security, as well as criminal defense law. And we also do training for active shooter risk mitigation, something we call de-escalation of aggression, and another thing called tactical termination, where we work directly with the HR people, HR professionals, to go in and train their people how to terminate an individual with what we call TACT. And TACT stands for TA, and each one of those letters stands for a particular behavior. So that when you do have to terminate somebody, they don't come back to your facility with a firearm and try to commit an act of violence.
I got you.
And I'm blessed also to have a popular podcast called Light 'Em Up, and it's on every major platform. And I just checked today, and we are in 73 countries as of today.
That's awesome, bro. That's awesome. Yeah, I had a chance to check out your podcast. I didn't listen to two shows. The last one you did with the woman, the coroner or whatever. Man, that was a good interview. I told you, Shannon, she's into all that CSI stuff, but I actually was able to learn a few things from you just asking her questions and stuff. That's a real good show. If y'all get the opportunity to go check out that podcast, hit them up, man. That was awesome. I love that podcast. You got a new one coming out, right? A new one you're working on?
It's in the works, and it's gonna be with a 39-year retired Cleveland police officer. So, with all the stuff that's going on about law enforcement and problems with law enforcement with the community, I think it'll be good to sit down with somebody who, for 39 years he's kept his nose clean. He's been promoted. He hasn't had any complaints against his record. So I think it would be good to sit down and talk with somebody about the situation that's happening now throughout our nation.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, man. I can't wait to see that one also. Well, Phil, let's just get right into this one, man, so we can get the people what they want, what they came for. Let's get into this one.
Okay, sounds good. It's good to see you. I'm ready, bro. I'm ready.
Okay. So again, we talking about the female narcissist. We talking about past relationships. So let's just jump right into this one. Okay. First question. They all coming at you actually, so it's like an interview. So I'll chime in too. But okay, so when did you realize something was wrong with the woman you were with, and then also, how did that change the way you looked at women after that?
Well, I'm pretty perceptive. Having been an investigator for over 20 years, so early on, I knew there was a problem. I could see the way, in my particular situation, the problem was the way the stepdaughter would treat the mother, who was, the woman that I was with. It was a complete role reversal, whereby the daughter would talk to the mother, to the woman I was with, as if she was the parent. And immediately I thought, okay, wait a second, let's call a timeout. There's something wrong with this. So I sat down with the woman I was with, and we had a long conversation. But she was really just a bad parent. That's what she was. And being a bad parent, if you parent out of guilt, if you parent out of anger, or if you parent out of shame or stuff like that, you're never going to get it right. Never. So early on, I knew that there was a problem. But you try to stick and stay. You try to make a good thing come of it, because I'm a product of divorce. My mother and father were divorced when I was a kid, and I always told myself, Solomon, I always said, I really don't want to see that happen to me. But eventually, after I had enough, I called it quits. I packed up everything and I left out. But I knew early and often, because if you pay attention, you can see these things. These things stick out like a sixth toe. So yeah, I knew early that there was a problem, and the problem all throughout the relationship was, in fact, her daughter. Her daughter was, she was really angry and resentful that her father really wasn't there for her, because her mother and father had been divorced, and so when I came in on the scene, she was filled with anger, and I used to think for a while there that my name was "You're Not My Dad." I used to think, because she would always say, "You're not my dad. You're not my dad."
Yeah.
For a while there, I was like, man, that must be my name, because that's all I hear. But
yeah, that's crazy how that happens. How the kids can sometimes control, the situation that goes on in the household. And I think a lot of times, as men, we come into these situations, because I'm doing it now, but you come into the situation where you're trying to step into, not you trying to replace the father, you're just trying to make sure the kids are being taken care of, and make sure that the wife or the girlfriend, whatever, being taken care of. And I think when the kids look at you as an outsider, I think it causes a problem automatically for you and the kids, which can then result into a problem between you and that woman that you're with, which kind of, what I'm saying, it makes the problem even worse than what it should be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's really important in a blended relationship for, number one, the biological parent has to do the disciplining. The step parent can't come in and expect to do any type of disciplining. There has to be what they call a unified front, and by that, the man and the woman in the relationship or whatever, they have to work as one. They got to work in unison. So that means there has to be a lot of communication, because in every relationship, communication is the key. Without effective communication, no matter what it is, it can be a love relationship, it can be a business relationship, it could be a friendship. If you don't have communication, you're not gonna have anything. That's like a foundational pillar. So I mean, but she just wouldn't discipline. She just wouldn't discipline the girl, and it just led to one thing after another. And we really couldn't get our focus because there was a constant problem with our daughter.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah,
I got you. That's a tough situation to be in, to be honest with you. Either way, it's a tough situation.
Yeah.
But thank you for answering that. Let's get on to the next one. Are there any laws that you know of that deals with narcissist abuse? I know we talked about this, me and you. We talked about this a few times last week, and you had looked into some things. Can you just share that, with the people, because I know every state is different, but what were you able to find on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and your wife Shannon has mentioned some of these things in the past, and she's 100% on point for sure. There's what I would say is the big one. It would be the Lautenberg Amendment, which speaks to any individual who has been convicted of even a misdemeanor. And as we all know, a misdemeanor is punishable by 1 year or less in jail, as opposed to a felony, which is punishable by 1 year or more in jail, actually in prison. But the Lautenberg Amendment speaks to if you've been convicted before of domestic violence as a misdemeanor and you have any firearms in your possession, if you transport, if you possess, if you have any firearms in your possession, you can be immediately kicked up to the federal statute. And the federal statute has a lot of teeth to it. And a lot of people don't know about that. But that's one way to get somebody yanked out of the house if they've previously been convicted of domestic violence in the past, if they have weapons. But you got to be serious when you go to that step. That person's not coming back. So oftentimes a woman might initiate the process, but then when the process gets really deep, she might want to back off on the charges. But you can't do that because it's not a state crime. So the feds can take over, and once they get involved, it's game over. It's game over.
Okay.
But there's a lot of other crimes that actually happen in this process. I mean, for example, just to mention a couple of them, like trespassing. If you go somewhere where you're not permitted to be, that's trespassing. And things that come into effect like temporary restraining orders or personal protective orders, those are issues that come into play. There's the issue of battery, which the simple definition of battery is the application of force from one person to another. If you get into a shoving match, if you get into a pushing match, if you hit anybody, that's simple battery, but it can escalate up to aggravated assault. It can escalate up to aggravated felony assault. So I mean, there's a lot of crimes, and I'll just mention them, in their totality. Like, for example, rape, sexual battery, abduction, kidnapping, child stealing, felonious assault, aggravated assault. There's something called aggravated menacing. And a lot of people don't know this though, but if you use the U.S. mail system, if you send a letter that's threatening or in any way intends harm to a person, that's a federal crime, and you can be really prosecuted severely for using the U.S. mail system to be abusive.
See, I didn't know that. You taught me something just now with the mail, because I'm pretty sure. So I got a question. I know it's not one of the questions we talked about, but since you said that, so would a text message be the same if you get a threatening text message? I know it's different, because you send it through the mail, so it's different. So you got the paper and all that. But would a threatening text message do something? Can you use that somehow?
Well, yeah, a text message can definitely be used in a court of law as evidence, against somebody. And your cell phone provider, if they're issued a subpoena, they have to turn over all of those records, all of them.
Okay.
But it is a big difference. If you use the U.S. mail system, that's completely different from sending a text message. So those are separate things, but you still can use both of them in the prosecution of cases like this of abuse and things like that. So
yeah. So that's good information, because I know a lot of women, we talk on here a lot. A lot of women are dealing with different things, when it's threatening phone calls, text messages. I'm pretty sure some of them get, like you said, letters in the mail. But the thing that you said earlier about the Lindenberg thing, that there to me was it stood out because if you do a simple background check, like me and Shannon got together, you do a simple background check, you kind of know some of these things already going in. So this person has domestic violence and things in their history. So I think it helps you out, because knowing it in the back of your head, you like, wait, okay, he just hit me. I already know he got, I already know he, been convicted of domestic violence before. So now you can proceed forward, and you kind of know what to do. But I think a lot of women and men, you know, because we have this conversations about women. We know a lot of women do these things too, and they might have something in their background, so it's the same thing. I think that's work. I think nowadays you need to be able to look into these people's background. Go ahead, pull a background check, you know, because everybody want to know what's their credit score. Man, screw the credit score. I want to know. I want to know if you didn't beat somebody up or you didn't kill somebody 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, I'm not worried about a credit score. I'm worried about criminal history.
Yeah, criminal history. Yeah, I'm not worried about the credit score.
You know, yeah, I mean, you brought up an excellent point. You know, it's always wise to do your due diligence. You know, I mean, I know a lot of people say, well, I don't feel comfortable doing that. You should check and see if the person that you're involved with or about to be involved with, if they have a criminal history. Because wouldn't you certainly want to know if they're a double murderer in another state and you're about to tie the knot with them and get married? Certainly you would want to know that information, you know? Yeah. So, I mean, I encourage people, men and women, because in the security industry, we get questions about, you know, like, for example, people have children and their children are starting to date or they're about to go away to college, you know, and we get all kinds of questions about, well, how do we keep the kids safe? How do we keep them, you know, when they're out from under our view? How do we keep them safe? Well, run a background check on somebody, you know? And to be honest with you, every police station, no matter what city you live in, unless you live in the smallest city in the country that doesn't have computers, which I don't think exists, but every police station has a public access computer that you can go to the station, sit down in the records room and type in a person's name and see if they're in the system. So that's one thing somebody can do to protect themselves, because, you know, this is all about protection. You got to protect yourself. Because if you don't protect yourself, who's going to protect you if you don't do it yourself?
Exactly. Hey, I want y'all to make sure y'all listen to that for people that's, you know, going to watch this live now or watch it later. What he said about every police station has a computer that you can go to and be able to look these things up. And I'm a firm believer that you need to look into these people, their history. It ain't about credit checks. I mean, we passed that. That was a thing from the 90s and early 2000s. Oh, I want to date nobody with a 300 credit score, and I get it. But guess what? Credit scores can be fixed. Like Phil just said, you double murder somebody, we can't fix that. We can't take that back. You know what I'm saying? You know, you got things like that going on. So yeah, credit scores. Let's put that on the back burner and go ahead and find out if this person been involved in domestic violence, if they killed somebody. It you know, it might point you in the right direction to let you know that, you know what, this person might be a narcissist, and it's probably somebody. That's one of remember the video I did last about red flags. That's one of those big red flags you probably can avoid and be like, you know what, I don't need to be with this person. So thank you for that. That's great information right there. Be honest, especially about the police station.
Yeah. And you know, I'm always available. Should any of your listeners have any questions at any time, I'm always available for someone to reach out and bounce a question off of me. And I'm always here to support your show in that regard. Absolutely.
All right, let's fill stuff. Y'all want to get in touch with him? Okay, we're gonna keep moving along. He coming with. He say he came prepared tonight. He coming with fire already. So.
I've been looking forward to this. I really have. This is great.
Yeah, so this next one, what is something you can say to other men? Remember, we're trying to reach the men, because me and Shannon talk about this a lot, and she's been pushing me to do things like on Clubhouse and stuff like that. I know she's probably smiling right now that I'm talking about it. But you know, a lot of men go through domestic violence with a woman and they don't talk about it. So what's something you can say, to some of the men, who say that the woman is just crazy? And you and I both know it's something more to it than they just crazy, especially when we're dealing with narcissists and things like that.
Yeah, the most important thing in any situation is to know yourself. Okay, we can always point the finger at somebody else, but every time we point the finger at somebody else, there's always three fingers coming back at us. So we got to make sure that we're correct from the beginning. Okay, so you can say the woman's crazy all the person wants, but nobody can control you, as a man or as a woman, or only you control yourself. So I always say that no person can govern anybody else until they first govern themselves. So you got to get yourself in check before you can do anything else. And you control your temper, you control
Mhm.
your words, you control, how you respond. We as men, you know, we, and this goes for women as well. No one needs to be pushed into a situation that they would regret. You know,
Mhm.
uh, the men need to be in control of themselves. Now, here's the thing: in a relationship, a man wants to feel respected, and a woman wants to feel loved. Okay,
I
so
got you.
we as men, we need to know how to nurture our partner. We need to do our best with them. And for example, what does do our best mean? Well, we have to try our best to bless them in thought, word, or deed. We have to try to edify them or build them up, also in thought, word, and deed. We have to try our best to share with them our thoughts, our words, our deeds. And sharing, it doesn't mean only sexual intercourse, okay? Because there's only so much time you can spend in the bedroom, and
Exactly.
and you have to have something solid to build on, outside of the bedroom. And then the last thing in best would be to touch, and that's touch a person in their heart, touch a person in their mind, touch a person in their soul. You know, you have to treat somebody the way you want to be treated. You can't let somebody rob you of your joy, and you can't
Mhm.
blame it on them. It would be like if I'm angry about something, I drink poison, and I expect somebody else to die from it. No, no,
I
no.
got you.
So
Hey,
us,
Shannon say that all the time. She said
us,
that all
us,
the time.
us
Yeah.
men, us men have to be responsible for ourselves, and we
Yeah.
have to love our women the same way Christ loves the church. Okay.
Mm.
Um. So you know, I have a friend who's going through a difficult relationship, and I always tell him that you control yourself, man. Nobody else controls you. You have to do your best at all times, because let me tell you this: if you even have the hint of impropriety nowadays in a domestic violence situation,
Mhm.
somebody's getting arrested.
Yeah.
Somebody is going to get arrested, and then you got to try to crawl out from under that charge. And that's number one, not easy. And number two, it's not inexpensive. To go to
Mhm.
court is expensive, and you want to try
Yeah.
to avoid that at all costs. I mean, so we have to know ourselves. We have to go to the Lord in prayer, go
Mhm.
into our prayer closet, and we have to separate ourselves from the world, because, yeah, there's a lot of temptation out there. There's a lot of what we call push factors. But at the end of the day, you're responsible for yourself, and you'll develop the relationship that you put time into develop, you know?
I like that. I like
You
that.
know,
I definitely agree with you on that. Yes.
I
Yes.
mean, if all you do in a relationship is talk about troubles, then you got a troubled relationship. You know what I mean? So,
True.
um, we can't blame anybody else. And that's the thing, as men, sometimes we like to blame everybody else for something. And I guess
Mhm.
women can do that too, but women are just as responsible for their thoughts, words, and deeds as men are. And you really have to decide what it is you want out of this relationship. I have friends who say, "Well, I just want to be happy in my marriage." Well, happiness is a byproduct of putting in work. And if you
Mhm.
don't put in work, you're not going to have a relationship that's happy. So it all depends on what you want. You have to work
Yeah.
for it. Nothing in life is given to you. Anything of value is worth working for, and that goes along with our relationships too. You know.
Man, you going deep in here tonight, Phil. I mean, I know I had to. That's why I wore my shirt and tie and stuff. I had to come on my own show and like, man, Phil coming to bring some stuff tonight. But I
Well,
appreciate it. Like I appreciate it 100 because people need to hear this. Men and women need to hear especially these situations that, you know, like I said before, like we've been through with these women that, and I'm guilty of it myself. I used to call these women crazy, you know, just thinking, you know, oh, well, she just crazy. And then when I start, you know, looking at this deeper, I ain't gonna say a little deeper. I start looking at this deeper. It's like, no, this woman is not just crazy. And then there's a lot of red flags that I've missed in the beginning. I ain't gonna even say I missed. I've seen them, but it's kind of like it ain't that bad. But those red flags became, you know what I'm saying, the size of a ship. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, wait, what? Like I should have recognized that. You know what I'm saying? So some of these things that we're talking about is why I'm glad I got you on here, is to talk about some of these laws, talk about, you know, just men just talking about like women, not to bash all women, because obviously we're not gonna sit here and bash all women, because we're gonna get into that question later on about our wives, because we've been blessed with two beautiful wives, you know, they're intelligent and everything like that. So that's not what we're doing. But I do want to shed light more on female narcissists, because so many times, you know, we just talk about men, and they talk about men narcissists, and Shannon brings this up a lot, and it's true, because men, you know, they more overt, so they, you know, they beat the women, and so they go domestic violence, and you get arrested and all that. And then the women, it's almost like, you know what I'm saying, like they skate by. And I think that's because guys in settings, like me and you had that conversation the other day on the phone. I just think sometimes guys in settings, they don't share that with their other brothers, but we should. We should be having these conversations, not just on YouTube, but just in a roundabout thing, talking to your brothers. But it's like, I guess when you're ready to share it, it's like, well, I don't want to tell my cousin or my brother, because I don't want him looking at me as less of a man. And I think that's why the men don't share as much. What you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, and that's 100% on point. You know, we as men, we bottle our feelings up. You know, we think it's not manly to cry. Let me tell you, it's perfectly normal to cry. And let me tell you this further. I would not want to be around a person that didn't let their emotions out, because number one, they are a time bomb, a ticking time bomb. You know, that's what happens to people when people get put into solitary confinement. Solitary confinement in prison is designed for one thing and one thing only, and that is to make you crazy, to break you down as a human being. So we as men, we need to share our emotions. You know, I remember in the relationship that we started talking about with a narcissistic woman. I know when I left that relationship, it was many a nights that I soaked my pillow with my tears. I cried myself to sleep, and I'm not ashamed to admit it, because it's the truth. And the good Lord says that the truth shall make you free. So tell the truth, Phil. Okay, so we need to talk about it. We need to talk to our brothers about it. We need to share what our situation is, share our reality. We need to do it without fear, without trepidation, because that's the only way we can get help. If you bottle everything up, you know, you are a ticking time bomb, like I said. So no, we need to find somebody that we trust, and find someone who we respect, because number one, in order to have a friend, first of all, you have to be a friend. So
I like that. Yeah.
you have to have somebody that you can confide in, because you don't want your business in the street. You know, you don't want to
That's true.
tell somebody knows what's going on, because it's really not everybody's business, you know, because people will always talk in a situation like this. People will take sides, especially if you've been married. The family members will take sides. So we got to support each other as brothers, and we got to help one another. And the same thing goes for women, you know, and it's okay if a woman has a man friend who she confides in for information, for advice, for guidance, you know. I mean, men and women can be friends, and there's no harm in that, you know. But we need to step up. We, as men, we need to quit blaming other people. We need to own our own junk, and and look out for our own best interests. You know, keep our hands in our pockets if we can't be, you know, be respectful. There's no just cause for putting our hands on anybody. You know, my mother always told me, she said, you know, if you feel froggy and you ready to jump, you better calm yourself down, because if you don't mind spending time in prison, okay then,
Yeah,
because you don't hit a woman. You don't hit a woman,
exactly.
you know?
I definitely agree with that. On men putting their hands on women, and then on the flip, women shouldn't put their hands on men either, because you know in a lot of situations we see that where the woman hits the man, and you
Yeah.
know again the man don't talk about it, but
Yeah,
they should talk about it, because if you start talking about it, it's almost like I seen in a comment. I think Shannon put it up there about document, document, document. Where if you start
absolutely.
telling, people know, well, this woman is abusive towards men. The word to
Yeah,
get out. You know how the streets
yeah.
do now. I mean, they got internet and everything now. So instead of just me and you knowing the woman crazy, no, the
Yeah.
whole neighborhood needs to know that she's crazy, and go a step further and say, no, she's narcissist. And then you can sit down and explain to people, well, what is narcissist? It ain't somebody just look in the mirror and think they pretty. No, it's
No,
no, it's
no.
deeper than that. You know,
Yeah, you know,
so yeah,
the road goes both ways. You know, women shouldn't hit
yeah,
men shouldn't hit women, you know,
yeah,
because both of those situations are absolutely wrong. Um, and it's important to keep our men accountable for what they do. You know, you need to have like a brother who you can go to as your accountability partner and talk
yeah,
to. Say, hey, you know, how are you doing? You know, how are things going? Are you okay? And the other thing that isn't really talked about very much in situations like this is, if a bad situation gets worse really fast, you need to have things in place. Like, for example, you know, in uh in security, you need to have something called a reciprocity agreement, or an agreement with another company that might be across the street or down the street, that if something bad happens at your location, that you can go from your location to their location just for the time being. So what you need to do is, with a friend, a trusted confidant, if something bad happens in your marriage or domestic violence situation, you need to have, number one, you need to have what they call a go bag. You need to have everything you need in a bag somewhere in your car, and you need to have that ready in case things go sour quick. You need to have
mhm,
already a friend in place to where you call them up and you say, hey, Solomon, look, man, I need to leave right now, bro. So can I hang out at your place until I get my head straight, until I can figure out which way is up? People need to have that in place ahead of time. So, you know, I encourage everybody to think about the bad before it gets worse, you know,
oh, that's good. That's deep.
because things are in a blink of an eye, you know. All it
Yeah,
takes one argument, and people can start hooking and jabbing, and before you know it, you don't got a place to stay, you know.
true, true. Man, okay. Like I see, man, you get a lot of feedback in the comments. Like Shannon, everybody, you know, they saying, you know, hey, she taking notes. I just put it up there. She said, agree, I'm taking notes. A lot of people
Yeah,
say, you
yeah.
know, there's a lot of
Yeah,
good
that
information.
that reciprocity agreement, it could just be like an agreement with a friend, you know, agreement with the
Yeah,
company, you know, um, that when it's time to bail, you got a safe house to go to. Because, you know,
yeah.
in law enforcement, when they have a witness that they're trying to get to court in order to testify, they
Bring
bring
it to
them
the
to the
safe
safe
house.
house. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That way,
Okay.
say for example, if it's a drug case, that way the drug kingpin can't find them and, you know, put two in the side of their ear. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I got
So I
you.
mean, we have to do the same thing. We got to use the smarts that are available to us.
Okay. Let's move on to the next one. That's good information. I like this. Okay. So going back to going back to the woman that we talking about that you was with, what type of narcissist do you believe you were involved with? You know, so far, you know, she think she was malignant, covert, serial, other. I mean, what you think after all the things you seen with her and the daughter and all that?
Yeah, you know, I'm not exactly sure to be 100% as far as those definitions go. Covert, that would be like hidden or undercover. Uh,
Yeah,
Malignant would just be cancerous. Um,
yeah,
and serial would be like she's done it to other people, so she's gonna do it to you. You
yeah. She
know,
do it a lot. Yeah,
I
yeah.
she was a narcissist, and this is strange in a strange way. She was a narcissist about her daughter. So everything flowed through her daughter, and because she was such a terrible parent, she couldn't really focus on her relationship with me, you know. So I think she just wasn't a good parent. That's all I can really say. Now, what kind of narcissist she was up under the skirt of her daughter. That's what the problem was. You know, she couldn't get out from under that guilt that she parented from.
I got you. I know exactly what you're talking about with my ex. It's like the daughter controlled more of everything, and the reason why is because she had dirt on the mother. So being that she had dirt on the mother didn't want to get out, so she let the daughter almost do, you know what I'm saying, do whatever she wanted. So it's you know, so it's one of them situations. I definitely know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and that makes for a household where there's absolutely no peace. And if you have no peace in your house, you can't function, you know, because after you go to work all day and you come home and you want to just relax and your house is like a zoo, you can't do that. You can't do that. That, you know, because in relationships like this, in these narcissistic relationships, and in, you know, the workplace, you know, in reference to faith-based workplace situations, if you lose the ability because your relationship is in such a bad way, if you lose the ability to do what I call the big three, and the big three is to be able to eat, to be able to sleep, or to be able to be at peace in your heart and in your mind, so that you could do those things. Because, you know, if you're anxious as can be, you can't eat, your stomach is in knots. And if you're anxious as can be, you cannot sleep a wink, you're staring at the ceiling all night long, you know. So I mean, you have to protect your ability to do the big three. And if the relationship that you're in is impacting in any way, shape, or form on the big three, eat, sleep, or be at peace, you are rapidly on your way to being, number one, no good to anybody else, and number two, and most importantly, no good to yourself. And when you're no good to yourself, you're like a vegetable. You can't function.
Yeah, North Free Living, my wife, she said, when you do not have peace, I mean, it causes, you know, I know she got the dots on there, but I know what she's saying. It causes a lot of other things to take place. I mean, with health, with it just starts like a snowball effect. So when you don't have peace, and like you said about the zoo, I don't know about you, but I pay to go to the zoo. I don't want to go to one in my house. I'll go see the monkeys and tigers and all that at the zoo in cages. I don't want to.
I don't need to be paying the bank in order to have a zoo in my own house. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
No, that's not happening.
Yeah, let's move on to the next one. Do you believe love is blind? When I'm saying that, I'm saying more to, you know, like the red flags and things like that. Like, you know, when you first, especially like, I guess when you're coming out of a narcissistic relationship, you know, and you getting involved with somebody, that could be a factor. Or when you're just single and you just start dating and this new, you know, this new guy, this new woman comes into play. And do you think love is blind though? Because, you know, we as people, I think sometimes we just like, it's like you said, we want to be respected as men, and women want to, you know, do the love. But at the same time, men want to just, you know, you're just looking for somebody just to settle down with and things like that. So do you think we miss some of these red flags as men because we're just blinded by, when I'm saying love, I'm saying, you know, like her beauty, like her physical nature, her hair, her eyes, you know, the shape. Like you just blinded by, like you'll miss the little things, like her cursing out her kid that's 8 years old, or her slapping her child or something like that. You're like, wait, okay, that's not that bad. She's fine. She's a dime piece. What you think about that?
No, absolutely, absolutely, and those are excellent points that you bring up, Solomon. Excellent points. I do think love is blind up to a certain point. Love is blind until you've been in a situation long enough to where you can then see. Because you know, let's look at this example. If you're a horse jockey or a horse trainer and you're training a horse, now a horse has one goal: run down the track as fast as it can and win, because win pays out the most money. Okay. That's right. Love can make you blind. We can do things that we normally wouldn't do if we weren't in love. Absolutely. Love is blind, and love will you. But there comes a certain point to where you have to take the blinders off. Now, let me get back to that horse analogy. Jockeys put blinders. They put blinders on the horse so that the horse doesn't look to the right or to the left. That way, the horse runs straight down the track and hopefully wins the race. So we have our blinders on, and those blinders can be all kinds of things. They could be we overlook certain behaviors. We overlook attitude issues that come up. We overlook habits. We overlook all kinds of things because, we just want to be in love, but there comes a certain point to where just being in love, it's not all it's cracked up to be if it's not a good relationship,
That's true.
So yeah, love is blind. In the song Amazing Grace, there's a line in there that says, was blind, but now I see. So we all have to take off our blinders and live in reality, because that's where the relationship is at. The relationship is not in Fantasy Island. You are living this relationship 24/7, 365. So
exactly.
You can go on with blinders, but it's not going to work. At some point, you have to own your own stuff. You have to get out from under yourself, and you have to do what's good for the relationship. And in relationships, we either contribute to the good of it or we contribute to the bad of it. It's like a bank account. If you put money into the bank, you'll be able to make withdrawals. If you don't put any money in the bank, when you go to make a withdrawal, your account will be bankrupt. So what we put into our love relationship, in time, in love, in care, in concern, in respect, in faithfulness, in honor, those are things that help grow a good relationship. Faith, hope, and love, and the greatest of those are love. So love is blind up to a certain point. Then we have to get real.
I definitely agree with you on that. I think love is blind. I mean, it really is. And then, like you said, up to a certain point. And I think my thing on it, I think the reason why it is blind is because people they just want to be in a relationship a lot of times. Yeah. So like we both said, they'll just miss like the little small things. They'll miss those things. But sometimes it's those little small things end up being the biggest things that basically hinder your relationship, and it end up destroying the relationship. And then you look back at the relationship as a whole. Once you're out of it, you're like, man, I should have seen that coming. But it's like you said, we got our blinders on, and we don't want to nah, I didn't see it. I didn't see her texting that guy. That's you know what I'm saying. You like that? You're like, nah, I didn't see her curse out. I didn't hear that. I didn't hear her curse her little child out. I didn't hear it. But maybe she's just mad today. Nah, it's more than that. It's not she just mad today.
No.
So yeah.
People are the way they act. It's no joke. I mean, if every word out of their mouth is a cuss word, then they cuss. Yeah. That's their way. So we got to be mindful. We got to be mindful of who in, because you can marry someone and it can help to make you, or you can marry someone and it can help to break you. So you got to work it to your favor. And
I got you, man. It's going good right here. Let's move on to the next one. About how long, did it take you? I know you touched on it, but how long did it take you to realize something was wrong with that relationship? I know you said first on you knew something about the daughter, but how long you think it took? Because I know everybody is different. Everybody's not going to recognize things, as quickly.
Yeah, I recognized it earlier, like I mentioned earlier, but I mean, I have a very keen eye. Like I said, having been an investigator and still being an investigator, you need to approach things with a sharp eye, because when you investigate any case, you ever seen one of those things called a tarot card? TARO?
Yeah.
They got like skull and crossbones on them and stuff like that. All kinds of crazy stuff. Okay, but
I don't mess with none of that.
No, me neither. My point to that is, it's in investigation. The acronym TAROT, TAROT, stands for you have to do your investigation in a timely fashion. You have to be accurate. Your investigation has to be relevant. It has to be objective, and it has to be thorough. TAROT. Those are the recipes or the ingredients for a good investigation. So going into your relationship, you got to keep your eyes open for those red flags. You have to be on your toes. And you can't be blind to what you see. So I mean, I knew early, I knew often, and I tried to work within the framework that I had. Because again, like I said, there were certain things I didn't want to do that my parents had done. I didn't want to go down that route, but you got to call it for what it is. A dead horse is a dead horse. It's not getting back up on its four hooves. So you can live in denial, but it's not going to work for you. It's not.
Yeah. You know, you dropping a lot of knowledge in here, Phil. I love what you're saying about the time, how you broke that down. And you're right. When we go into a relationship, we need to pick up on a lot of things and not just pass them off like, well, you know, it'll get better. No, call a thing. You know, you go ahead, you see it happen. Don't try to be objective to it like, well, maybe it'll change. No, go ahead and you've seen it. So go ahead, call them out on it. And, you know, and I think that'll help us, especially as men. I think that'll help us with these women that are narcissists, you know, because and we call out the things when we first see it. Or I say calling out, but if you recognize them and act on it, it'll keep us out of a lot of these situations. Because in my situation, I wouldn't have ended up in the situation I ended up in. I wouldn't have ended up in Honduras trying to fight somebody that, you know what I'm saying, and fight for somebody that really don't love me because she's married to somebody else. But it's those little red flags that I missed in the beginnings of the relationship. Like, I should have seen some of this stuff coming. And then, you know, you look at the another thing I like to look at is like their friends. So her best friend was basically a narcissist also. But me, I guess I ain't gonna say stupid, but just not calling out on it or just acting on it. I pretty much just, you know, I put myself in that position. That's why I talk about accountability a lot, because me not holding myself accountable, I can't blame it on nobody else. Me not holding myself accountable put me in that situation. And I can't go, and I know some people be like, well, they blame God and all that. Man, I'm gonna do a video about that. But my thing is, God didn't tell me to be with that woman. I did that. Right. You know what I'm saying? I made that decision, and I made a decision to go to Honduras. All them decisions was all decisions I made, and it led up to that boiling point where, okay, I need to get a divorce. So it's not that I can blame God for any of that. So I don't like when people say that, because it's like, no, God didn't tell you to go, you know what I'm saying, be with this woman, and then after she done cheated on you or beat you or whatever the case is. I'm talking about from a man point of view, and you still stay with her, and then it get to a boiling point. Now you want to blame God. So it's not God's fault.
No, I mean, we can scapegoat and blame anybody. The fact of the matter is that I learned after the fact is that when you let God, for a man, when you let God pick your rib, you can't go wrong. Okay. I mean, and that's where I went wrong. You know, men get into the habit of picking, you know, the 36, 24, 36, you know, the woman that has the hourglass figure, you know, that, you know, it's the inner beauty that will sustain throughout the length of time. And nothing wrong with being with a beautiful person outward, but if you have someone that has inner beauty, their beauty will never fade away, you know, never fade away. So I mean, we as men, we can be visual in our approach to our relationships, you know, but like I said early on, there's only so much time a brother can spend in the bedroom. So you have to have a lot more to the relationship other than just physical, you know. And I thank God for the way things happened with me and Millie, because and we'll talk about that, hopefully, you know, the relationship I'm in now, because for 9 months me and Millie were separated because she was in the Dominican Republic and I was here in the United States trying to get her back to the United States. So absolutely we had to build into our relationship and on our relationship something other than the physical aspect, because that just wasn't happening.
Exactly.
You know, we had an
Yeah.
ocean between each other, you know.
I got you. Let me jump into the chat right quick. Let me see. I seen Cluster B put this up here. She said, "Aloha, apology for tardiness, being actively stalked and gang stalked." I know Shannon says she's going into prayer. We're gonna pray for you at the end of this, but I'm saying a prayer for you right now, just making sure that you're safe and okay. I mean, we understand if you have to get off of here and go handle your business with HPD, that's Hawaii Police Department for y'all that don't know, but yeah, that's a serious situation. So we want to make sure that we praying for Karen with her situation.
If she's being stalked, she needs to document.
Exactly. Exactly.
Date, place, and time, photos. She needs to not be alone if that's possible. She needs to have protection with her, whether that be mace, whether that be if she has. I don't know the laws in Hawaii, but maybe there's a carry permit. But if she's actively being stalked, she needs to have her antenna up and be alert to the situation. That's the thing.
Yeah.
If you're in a situation where there might be abuse or some type of violence, you have to be situationally aware to your surroundings. That means you can't be coming out of the Costco or the Walmart with your head down looking at your cell phone. You got to have your head up. You got to have your keys in your hand. You got to be ready to get into that car, look in the back seat, make sure that there's no one there, lock that car door, get in the ignition and go. You got to be ready. You can't have your head in the clouds.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. Me and Shannon talk about it all the time with the kids. Like, man, you need to know, like, because they just on the drive and everything. Like, you need to know where you at, because in a blink of an eye, an accident can happen. Anything can happen. I need to know where you at. You don't know the last street or the last restaurant you just passed. I used to drive 18 wheelers for y'all that didn't know. So I always use like different can't think of the word, it didn't slip my mind, but I use different reference points, like different buildings or anything like that.
Landmark. Landmark.
Yeah. So I'll use that. So, and it's the same like you're saying in Walmart or anything like that. I'm always aware of my surroundings. So if something looks suspicious, guess what? So I'm gonna get I'm a man. I'm gonna get the moving. Like, okay, I need to go ahead and get what I need to get this popcorn and go ahead and get on out of here, because it's not worth my life me staying here. How people like nowadays, the younger generation, they want to stand, they want to film the fight. And then when the bullets start flying, you the person that gets shot. Like, well, why didn't you leave? You don't have to stand there and watch that fight so you can get likes and views on whatever whatever social media you're on. But we have to definitely be aware of our surrounding with that.
People have to remember that you can only be killed once, okay? And that's no joke,
True.
People have to keep in mind that no one has the right to take their life. No one has the right to abuse them,
Exactly. Oh, that's good, Karen. Thank you for that update. So I know she know how to handle herself, but just want to make sure that we keeping her in prayer. Okay, let's and welcome for the people that I didn't welcome. Lou 12340. I know you came in. I seen One Love in. Karen came in. Anna Robles came in. Thank you all for coming out. Love Pieces in here. Thank you. Who else? I missed someone. I know Coach Letitia, I think she had to step out for Bible study, so I know she had to step out, but she go catch the replay. But everybody, I miss you. Expedition Salvation, thank you for coming out too, brother. So everybody that's in the chat, hey, we're gonna do a little question thing at the end of this. So if you have any questions that you want to ask Phil directly, especially about protection or like investigations, save them towards the end. That way we can answer them, so that way I don't have to stroll all the way up. And I'll let you know about 5 minutes out, so you can start getting those questions together. So let's move on to the next thing.
Okay.
So I don't want to hold them in here too long.
No, I'm all yours. This is fun, man. I'm enjoying myself.
I got you.
We can go as long as you got the room.
So let's get into this, because this is kind of what you had mentioned about Millie. So tell us a little bit about finding love after being involved with a narcissistic relationship, because I think a lot of people, I know a lot of people comment, they think it's hard to find love after being in a narcissistic relationship, whether it's abusive or emotionally abusive, physically abusive, whatever. They think it's hard, and I'll touch base on it too after you say your spiel. But a lot of people think that they won't find, what I'm saying, like it's nothing after this. And I get it, because the situation I was in, being married and then the woman getting married to somebody else while we married. I'm not gonna go over the whole thing, but you know, being in that situation, man, that's a lot. And that was my second marriage. So you like, now I'm sitting there as a man, like, man, that's 2 divorces. So I had to look at myself, obviously. Okay, what did I do wrong? But then I'm like, man, like I'm that bad. I mean, what's going on? But again, I'll let you go ahead and answer that question though.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. That really is. And I agree with you 100% because I felt the exact same way as what you expressed when I was going through my situation. I thought, okay, I'm never gonna find love again. I'm gonna be alone. I'm gonna die a monk, you know. I mean, I had all these thoughts and feelings that were going through my head, and it really was just the devil trying to keep me down and trying to keep me, you know, from acting on my faith. And I had to get up the courage and I had to get up the faith. But once you do, like if you look at a little eaglet, a little bird, like before that little bird knows how to fly, it flaps its wings and tries. But then one day, after it keeps flapping and trying, one day it jumps out of the nest and it's on. It's either gonna fly and make it, or it's gonna hit the ground and get hurt. So I mean, once I got up the courage to step out on faith and to do what I should have done a long time ago, and once I actually went to God in prayer and repented for all of my sins that I had committed in that relationship. And I tell you this, Solomon, I tell you this as sure as I'm looking at you, a weight came up off of my shoulders, came up off of my body when I humbly, honestly, and sincerely prayed to God and asked him to forgive me for my sins that I had committed in that relationship. A weight came up off of me like a semi truck. And from that point forward, the Lord over and guided my steps in his word, you know. My prayer life increased, my faith increased, and I had asked God in my prayers if he would just put one good woman in my path. That was actually my prayer. I said, dear Lord, please forgive me of all of my sins. I repent of them. And I asked that you would just wipe my slate clean, you know? And I asked him to just put one good woman in my path. And I tell you, it was like that. It was almost in the blink of an eye. I mean, it's not like rubbing a lamp or a genie or anything like that, but the good Lord paved the way for me to get what I have now. And here's the kicker. Here's the thing. And this is what I want people to know. If I didn't let go of what I didn't think I could let go, I would never have been in a position to receive the blessings that I did receive. So this is what they need to know in this situation. If you don't let go of your bad situation, you're never going to be positioned in order for God to bless you. So you got to step out on faith. You got to give it to God and have hope, you know, have only positive expectations, HOPE. You got to have faith, you know, forsaking all, I trust him, FAITH. And God will supply the grace, you know, God will supply the grace. Grace is God's riches at Christ's expense. So, I mean, we have to go deep and strong to the Lord, and he'll pave the way. And he gave me my rib. And let me tell you, other than the breath of life, breathing, living, waking up every day, my wife is my biggest blessing in my life.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. So the people need to have hope. We all need to keep hope alive. And you need to know that God will replace multifold the things that the locusts have eaten, you know, if you are faithful. The good Lord has a way of bringing his children together and to help them, you know, because Jeremiah 29:11 says, and I'm paraphrasing, that the Lord has plans to prosper you and to give you a future with hope. So, I mean, but we need to do our part. We need to do our part, and we need to step out and go to God and let God be God. You know, a lot of my problem in the past was I tried to control things, and I tried to act as if I was God. But I'm not. I'm not. As a matter of fact, that's an insult to God, because that's me trying to think I can do things that only He can do, you know?
Yeah.
So there is hope. There is hope. You can find love after being involved in a narcissistic relationship. You have to have hope and
Man.
cling to it. Cling to it.
Man, you dropping knowledge in here. I love it. And you right. I mean, there's just the, like you said, God brings his children together, and you're right, because he connected us. You know what I'm saying? For us to be able to talk and have a brotherly love that we building and bonding, it's like wow. And then, like you said, the things you're saying about your wife Millie, it's the same thing with me and Shannon. I mean, after
Absolutely.
that divorce, I'm sitting there like, man, I didn't mess this up a couple times. You know, and besides the marriage, you know, just dating in between, like I didn't mess this up. So I knew, I was like, you know what, I can't do this by myself. There's no way I can do this relationship thing by myself. I had to tag in God, like being in the ring. I like, you know, I'm tapped out. I got to tag in God, and like, you know, I need your help. I need you to come in here and fight this battle, because we don't call it a battle, but to me, it was still a battle, because it's a battle of trying to get that woman in your life, and like you said, get your rib. So me doing it on my own, I was finding old broken ribs and ribs that somebody else tossed out and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, man, these ribs, it's not good ribs right here. You know
Oh man.
but that's me trying to do it, like you said, same thing, trying to control it and trying to control the situation. But once I allow God to take over and say, hey, you know what, I'm gonna let you do this. Because Shannon, I tell you, Shannon came out of nowhere. And I told you the thing about it, I'll touch on it real quick. From the time we talked and met and everything, and man, I bought Shannon a ring, and I've never done this before in my life. I bought Shannon a ring a week later after actually just having a conversation with her in person. We'd already been talking and stuff, but for me to do that, I was like, wait, what? But that was all God. It wasn't me. Bought a ring, and we got married a few months later. I mean, it was just, and we've been married since 2018. We still, I guess you can call us newlyweds, but we still learning each other. But it's never like an argument that we can't sit down and talk about, or you know, things like that. So when God do it, it's done right. It's not a situation where I don't trust her. Like she goes out or something, well, she don't go out. But you know, whenever she go out and do things and get things done for herself, you know, I trust there's nothing, you know, I gotta go through a cell phone or nothing like that, which that's not my thing anyway. But you know what I'm saying? But to have that trust and to have that love, same thing you're saying. Just I want everybody to know the same thing. It's hope after a narcissistic relationship. Don't get caught up in, well, you know, every time I get into one of these situations, this happens. We both telling y'all the same thing. Everybody that's watching this live now in the chat, or go watch this later, just realize that you probably put yourself in some of these situations. I know people don't want to hear that, but you got to hold yourself accountable. If you put yourself in that situation, you go back and look at it and said, hey, you know what? I reached out to that girl. I seen her in the club, or wherever you seen her at. I don't know, wherever you met this woman at the gas station, whatever. You walked up to her. And then after you in a situation, then you want to go to God and pray and be like, God, can you fix this? God looking at you like, I didn't tell you to get the woman I have for you. I've been crafting and building, but you got to be patient. So patience is another thing. You have to have hope. You have to have faith, which I think is a part of patience. So if you're not part of that whole situation and knowing that God can fix these things, you're going to we're going to stay in this thing that we're talking about. You're going to stay in this relationship cycle with the female narcissist, because you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. And we know what that is. That's insanity. So when you going to change? You know, when you going to change it, you know? So yeah, I love that. That's awesome.
And you know, for a positive relationship, you know, to have hope, I think it's important to have something. Yeah, exactly. Jeremiah 29:11. That's one of my favorite scriptures. It provides so much hope after pain, you know, but our pain has a purpose. And that's what I want everybody to focus on, that what you're going through, you don't want to just go through it. You want to be able to grow through it, you know, and pain has a purpose. And this is just my humble opinion, but I believe that all of our suffering, and I've said this before, all of our suffering that we encounter is to help us to try to perfect our walk with Jesus. Okay. God suffered when he lost his only begotten son. Jesus suffered. He bore stripes for our sins. He was perfect, and he took the beating for us. And so what we go through, it's nothing compared to what our Father and what Jesus has gone through. So it gives us a little dip into the bag of what suffering tastes like. But
I got you.
pain has its purpose, And to be honest with you, Solomon, the suffering that I've gone through, because it's made me the man that I am today. But for what I went through, I wouldn't be who I am today, and I wouldn't be the man that I am in order to be the husband that I am to my wife.
Man, I agree with you. I agree with you.
I figure as men, we need to be, as husbands, we need to be providers, protectors, leaders, and teachers. And we have to do all that in a loving way, in accordance with 1 Corinthians, the 13th chapter, verses 4-8, which talks about love is patient, love is kind, and so those are the things we as men can drill down on and focus on. If we put our blinders on for that, then there's a good chance we won't go off track,
Exactly. It has to be in God's timing and his will. So his will, he got to get the glory at the end of it. And I think like we both saying, and if y'all don't remember nothing else about this conversation, I hope y'all, watch it a few times, but y'all don't remember nothing else after, especially to the men, just going out to the men and to the women, but strictly to the men for sure. After you've been involved with this female narcissist and you didn't went through this cycle a few, some of us, we hard-headed, so we didn't went through it 5, 6, 7 times. We just don't understand. After you done did that, just know that it's still a wife out there for you. It's just you've been doing it on your own. You haven't let God, bring the woman into your life. And then sometimes I think a lot of us question ourselves. You hear it all the time, like, well, why God hasn't blessed me with a spouse? Maybe you're not ready yet.
That's true.
I think you sit there and look at it, you might think, well, I got the job, I got the car, I got the house. Maybe you still not ready. Maybe something in your heart isn't ready. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? Maybe something isn't right, or maybe the timing is off. So, sometimes we praying, but you have to be patient. You can't pray, like you said, or you can't pray today and expect that blessing to come through tomorrow. God gotta shape that blessing and get it right just for you, because it's your prayer.
So, yeah. We can't expect God to be a genie, like you rub the lamp, boom, something. Or like a one-armed bandit, you pull the slot and everything comes up 777. No. You have to be faithful. You have to work God's plan for you. I mean, and the other thing we do, sometimes, like, we put confidence in an unreliable person. Well, then that ends up on us. It's not on somebody else. Like, I think I could be wrong, but like Proverbs 25:11, it talks exactly about putting confidence in an unreliable person is like chewing on a toothache, or it's like walking on a broken foot. Those things just don't make sense, So we have to hold ourselves accountable, and we have to work the problem and not let the problem work us.
That's deep. I like that. Work the problem and not let the problem work us. Yes. Okay. So we getting down to the nitty-gritty. I skipped over a few questions because of time, so I wanted to make sure, but we're getting down. We still got a couple more. Let me get to the last couple. Let me get to the last couple. Then I'll jump in the chats after that. We can read. So y'all can start getting y'all questions together. Give us about 5 minutes to go over these next couple questions. Then y'all can start getting y'all questions if you have any questions, and then we'll go over the questions, and then we'll go ahead, and get you out of here, because Phil on the East Coast, he an hour ahead of us. So I got to make sure my brother gets some sleep tonight.
No, I'm good, man. I'm good.
I got you.
I appreciate it. I do.
Okay, so we touched about this, but let's just get a little bit deeper into this. What did you learn from those relationships that helps you be the man you are today? I know we touched on it, you mentioned it, but what can you actually bring to that men can see that, this is what happened, but look at me today, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, no matter what your circumstances are, you can always turn a negative into a positive, but it's got to come from you and through God. So, I mean, keep hope alive and keep moving forward. Never give up, So, I mean, I learned from that relationship that made me the man today is that other people don't define me, and other people don't define my future. Through God, I define my future, and through God, I define what I can be positioned to be blessed for.
That's awesome, man. To touch on that, to piggyback on that, I think a lot of time people look at others, you know what I'm saying, they get a definition of who they are, basically what you're saying. So it's like you listen to all these people and God telling you, listen to me, son. Yeah. Listen to me, daughter. But you're listening to all these other people, and all these other people telling you all these things that's not right for you. That's not your purpose. Like I think Shannon put in the thing earlier. That's not your purpose. That's not your path. But you listen to all these other people about how your relationship should go or what you should do for your woman. Nah, you go to God in prayer. And I think as men, and I might be wrong, I can only speak for myself. So I think sometimes you get into this situation where you're like, well, I don't have the money, or I don't have this, or I don't have that, so I can't do this. And then it's just simple. Sometimes it's just maybe write a letter, or maybe you just talk to this woman and just speak, positive affirmations to her, or just simple. How about you just grab her hands? Me and Shannon do a lot. Just grab her hands and just say a prayer with her. Yeah, that's more powerful than anything you go do going out there and buy whatever you're going to buy. So I think a lot of times that we can just put the blinders on this time. I'm gonna say put the blinders on, like you said earlier, and just focus on what we need to focus on, and everything else, I believe it'll work itself out. Because if you focus on, to me, I can't focus on 4,000 things and get them all done. But I can do 1 or 2 at a time and nip away at that 4,000. Eventually, I get it done. So it's the same thing with this relationship. When you in one of these relationships and it's bad and it ended bad or whatever the case is, just know you got some things you got to work on yourself. That's why a lot of people say take that time after getting out of a relationship to go through that healing process to heal yourself before you move forward.
Absolutely. And that's a crucial point. And I'm glad you brought that up, because you have to go through the grief cycle. And what's the grief cycle? Okay. You start out on one side with hurt and loss and shock. You go through the step of like numbness and denial. You might have emotional outbursts and anger and fear. But eventually you start out at one place, but then you come out on the other side. But if you don't feel it, you will not heal it. So this is you got to suffer the loss. You have to grieve the loss. And that's the only way you can sail it on down the line and come out on the other side in God's time, healed and ready for a new relationship, So, and this is, I had mentioned to you, one of my friends before, who's going through a situation like this. I told him, look, you're not ready to jump into anything new because you don't know who you are yourself. You need to suffer this, you need to grieve it, and you need to heal it, but you need to do it through yourself, through God. He's ready to jump into the next relationship. He's like, oh, I was talking to this girl here. I was like, man, the ink on your divorce isn't even dry.
It's still wet.
Yeah. So, I mean, we have to own our own stuff. You have to allow yourself time to cry, grieve, scream, whatever you need to do. Like I told you when we started, I would soak my pillow with my tears at night. And I'm talking about the ugly cry, like
taking a deep breath. Hey, I hear you on that one. But you have to, like you said, you have to allow yourself to go through that. You have to. And I think a lot of times, I know as men, because you taught, as most men are taught, younger, hey, it's about how many women you get. And I ain't just talking about sweet women, but just how many women you date and all that. But until you break out of that, it's not about how many women you date. You know what I'm saying? That's not what it's about. But they try to make it a competition, like, well, let's see how many numbers we can get this night at the club or at wherever you try to get these numbers. But at the end of the day, you only can really have one woman, and you're only called to be with that one woman. And when you go through these situations, when you're in these relationships, like I said, with narcissist women or whatever, if you don't allow that time, and your time is going to be different from my time. Your time might be a year. My time might be 3 years. Somebody else's time might be, 6-7 months. So don't look at somebody else's situation like, well, they got back in a relationship after a year. Well, maybe it's gonna take you a little bit longer to get through that situation. So you gotta allow that grieving. You're gonna know when you went all the way through, like you said, when you went through the process of the grieving, the love, the ugly cry, the crying in your pillow, the sitting there, actually, I think when you get to that level where you praying, like you said, you praying to God and saying, hey, I need you to bring like my real being. I need, because all the other time we're just saying, God, I just want to be married. So, hey, God will bless you with somebody, but you wasn't specific with your prayer. So, yeah, he might have gave you somebody, but you're not specific. So now you said that you made it God. Well, that's what you prayed for. And again, it's not the genie in the bottle, but you prayed for a woman. Okay, gave you one. You didn't say I wanted a woman that's God-fearing and gonna help me out with things and that loves kids. You didn't say, how about you be a little bit more specific? So it goes back to you holding yourself accountable of what you really what you need, you know.
That's true. That's true. You got to be specific. You know, you can't just
Gotta be specific.
That's the truth right there.
Hey, I said our brother Jamal here. Welcome, Jamal. He said, I see we having church.
Welcome, bro. Welcome. Good to see you, man. Good to see you.
It's good to see you in here, man. Yeah, we just two brothers having a conversation, just trying to help other men, you know, to be able to speak out on these situations. Because at the end of the day, and Shannon then beat me over the head with this quite a few times. At the end of the day, it's about letting men know that, you know, we have a safe space. So whether it's here on YouTube or contacting me or calling you, or my thing is people get caught up on, well, they doing it for, you know, for population or I mean not population, they doing it for, you know, for likes and views. No, I'm doing it for your help more than mine, because the thing is, I don't care who you go to. I'm not saying come talk to me. I'm not saying go talk to Phil. You can go talk to Jamal. You can find Jamal on LinkedIn. He's a counselor. He know a lot of things about. You can go talk to him. I know he and they like, man, hey, I didn't step into it. But I'm just saying, you can go talk to Jamal about things. You can call if you need a woman to talk to. You got my wife. You got Karen. You got a dream. You got people that you can talk to, especially about coming out of a narcissistic situation with a woman. I think time and time again, men don't want to share, and they think they the only man that's going. You're not. Think about it. If you was the only one that ever went through that, it wouldn't be an issue. If it's an issue for a lot of men, that means you're not the only one that been through that. You're not the only one to get a divorce. It's millions of people that got a divorce. You're not the only one that got hit by a woman. I got hit by a woman. Okay, and I'm pretty sure we can probably raise hands and, you know, through the chat or whatever. We got other men that got hit by women. Now, what they said, I don't know, but it's a lot of things that happens, you know, in these relationships that we can take from it. And like you said, I love what you said, Phil. We can take from the relationships. It made us who the man that we are today. And at the end of the day, you can't, I don't have no regret for any past relationship. Now, do I wish I'd have did a few things differently? Yeah, I probably wish I wouldn't have flew on Spirit Airline and went to Honduras. Hey, for y'all, I always say this, don't fly on Spirit Airline. They charge you at the game and the seats suck. But anyway, I wouldn't have flown on Spirit Airline, and I probably wouldn't have went to Honduras and saved myself about $700-800. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, the situation needed to happen because that prepared me for the woman I'm with today, which is Shannon. So if I wouldn't have went through that situation, maybe me and Shannon paths never crossed because I wouldn't have been ready for her. So I look at it like that. It got me what I needed. It got me what I wanted. It got me things that I don't even know I want, you know what I'm saying, out of her. And then God brought us together to be able to talk about narcissistic abuse from, you know, from the workplace, from the husband and wife, you know, or whatever. So I love it. And, you know, it's the same thing with you and Mill. I mean, he brought you out of them relationships to bring you the woman that you needed, because if it had went any differently, you probably would have missed that blessing, you know what I'm saying, with Millie. And so now we're just sitting there, we wouldn't even be having this conversation because we wouldn't be talking about Millie or Shannon.
True, that's true. You know, everything in life is timing. Everything in life is timing, and it's all according to God's timing. You know, God has the timepiece. You know, we might try to hurry things along, but no, he's in charge of the stopwatch.
Yeah, that's right, Jamal. It's the key to prayer. Amen to that. Yes. So let's get into our last couple of questions. So y'all can start getting y'all questions. Y'all have any questions? Y'all can start getting y'all questions and load them up in the chat. That way I can see them. So this is a quick, easy one right here. Was this your first encounter with a narcissist that you know of, or you know you think it happened before?
You know, I've encountered narcissists in the workplace. Too many to count. But yeah, this would have been my first relationship with narcissists. Yeah, I mean, you know, along the way you date people, but you know, maybe those relationships don't turn into something serious. But this was a serious relationship that had to do with a narcissist. You know,
I got you.
But in my industry, in security, in the legal field, I have encountered more narcissists than I could ever count. And I would have to be an octopus and have like 8 legs in order to take the knives out of my back for all the people that tried to stab me in the back for the industry that I work in. Criminal justice, law,
Yeah.
security. But that's just, I guess it goes with the territory.
Yeah, I can imagine in the industry you in, you're going to encounter a high number of someone you probably don't even know, but then the ones that you do know, you're like, wow, I can't believe this brother or this sister did this to me. It's
exactly.
And in the workplace, a lot of people don't talk about it because, and that's why I want to talk about this even more, like in the workplace. And I say it all the time, the same narcissist that leaves that house at 6, 7 a.m. to go to work, they going to work as a narcissist. They don't change on their way to work and all of a sudden become this happy person and go to work jolly. No, they still evil. They just evil to, instead of just being evil to their wife and their 2 kids, now they got 60 people to be evil to and just be mean to people. So I think the workplace narcissists need to be discussed more because they're obviously at work. I mean, they working. Whether they're working from home, they still in control of some people. If they manage, or they actually at an actual brick and mortar, they still in control of people, and they just, this venom and stuff is coming out all the time. So I just want them to be mindful. Even though we talk about relationships, the relationships at work, you have to be mindful of those too. So professional relationships can still play a part in your personal relationships, meaning if your professional relationship, your narcissist boss is trying to control everything that you're doing all the time, calling you all hours of the night, and it's a female, well, I'm gonna go a step further and say that might be a Jezebel spirit. She know you married. She know you don't need to be getting phone calls at night. So it's a whole different show that we can talk about. But what I'm saying is you have to be mindful of these people in the workplace, whether they men or women.
Yeah,
that's my take on that one. They everywhere.
That's the truth. That's the gospel truth. You have to have boundaries. You have to have boundaries, and you have to maintain those boundaries. In the legal field, they say good fences make for great neighbors. If you have a good fence, then people won't trespass on your property, and those fences are boundaries. You got to maintain your boundaries. You got to let your no be no, and you got to be firm on it.
Nice. Man, I appreciate this show, right? We got to do this again. I know I'm calling you out on the show live, but we got to do this one again. It's pretty good. I mean, it's so much information, to cover, so I
know. There was a lot to cover. It's hard to cover it all. And I'm always available to you, Solomon, always available. You just let me know when. You let me know when, and it's on.
For sure. Let's get into this. Well, let me get into this last one. Okay. And we'll go ahead and jump in the chat. So if y'all have questions, go ahead and drop your questions in there. We'll get into this last question.
Okay.
And then, so you can leave us with some tips on finding love after narcissist abuse. I know we covered it, but we want to make sure we leave tips that the men can be like, oh, and the women, because women can learn from this too. What would those tips be?
You always need to fix your attention on God. Okay, Romans 12:2, that tells us that fix our attention on God and you'll be changed from the inside out. So in a relationship like this, you got to go to God first, in the middle, and lastly, because it's not something that we can do on our own power. Okay.
Nice.
Marriage is a holy sacrament. So we have to treat it as such. If you come out of a situation, you have to heal it. Like I said earlier, if you don't feel it, you're not going to heal it. So you got to give yourself time. Okay. Time, they say time heals everything. That's not true. It's what you do with the time. That's what heals things, You got to be benevolent to yourself. A lot of times we're very hard on ourselves. Oftentimes we're our own toughest critics. So you got to leave a soft spot for you to land in this situation, because you're going to be going through the emotional cycle as you try to go through the grief cycle towards the healing, So you got to give yourself time, You got to be honest, okay? Because honesty is the best policy. And if you lie to yourself, you're not going to make progress. This process it has to hurt in order for it to work. If Jesus suffered and died for our sins. In a situation like this, we have to suffer in order to grow. And when we suffer, it brings our walk with Christ in a more perfect line, and it teaches us how to be humble. When we are pressed, when we're shaken, when we're pushed down, that creates character. And this type of Christian character, this type of Christ-like character is what we need to work any problem that we encounter. Not just a relationship problem. When we have a loved one that dies, we're going to go through the grief cycle, and we have to turn our face to God so that his loving light can shine upon us, hold our hand, and walk us through it.
Man, that's like a mic drop right there, man. I don't know if you got a mic, just go ahead and drop it like that. Go ahead, drop it, mic. Man, I don't know how I'm supposed to follow that one.
It's funny,
hey,
man.
That's good. I mean, that's awesome tips. Hey, again, I'm telling y'all, this conversation is needed. And we're going to have some more of these conversations, and maybe we can get some more people involved, some more men. I'm not saying people. I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there. Get a couple of the men involved and have these same type conversations so men, again, know that it's okay to talk about these things. Yeah. It's okay to share your past experiences. And because people need to know, man, Shannon been talking about this lately. People need to know the wins and the losses. We don't need to always hear the bad. We need to also hear the good. So you need to also know that, you know what, if I end up in one of these relationships, or I done been through one of these relationships, it's a light at the end of the tunnel, like they like to say, or it's God that can help you through this whole situation. So if you came out of that situation, he brought you through that situation and you didn't came out of it, you can turn around and say, you know what, Phil been there. He know what I'm going through. Solomon done been through a crazy situation. He know what I'm going through. Them brothers that made it out. They got wives. They moving on. They still talking about God. They still able to live their lives. So my thing is, if more men hear these stories, they able to relate. So that's the thing about it. I mean, like I said, we the men narcissists are beat up. They beat them all day, every day, 24/7. And I get it. And it's needed because they out there. They everywhere. Yeah. But the women narcissists, I think, are they escape by a lot because men won't tell those stories because they don't want to say, hey, well, I don't want my brothers looking at me. Me, I don't care. I'm gonna go ahead and tell for y'all, y'all can go look at my story. I didn't share my story with Shannon. I'm probably gonna share it again a little bit more in detail. I don't care because I know every time I tell my story, it's like you said earlier, it's like an 18-wheeler, semi truck lifted off my back. Yeah. So every time I tell it, it's like I feel better. So I don't mind telling the story. I just had to tell it that first time. Once I told it that first time, it's like, oh, okay. And it's not about likes or views. It's about me telling my story, and then maybe one person, if one person, man or female, can listen to that story and say, man, I'm dealing with a narcissist, or I'm dealing with this. I can turn my life around because look at what he did, or look at what she did. I think that's what it's all about. At the end of the day, to me, that's what it's all about. And I don't even have to know who that person is. That's the good thing about it. Yeah. But God knows. So God knows that the work we putting in, the things that we saying, somebody's going to see this at some point, or the people here in the live, or the people that see the replay are going to watch this and be like, man, them brothers just out there spilling their hearts, and and still in situations where they still doing good after everything they've been through with previous women. So that's what I want to leave my little tip with everybody on that.
I agree. I agree. And you've shared that with me before, and we talked about that if we can just help one person, that's all that matters. All the glory to God. And you know what? I want the people to know that we shouldn't have a negative relationship with failure. Failure teaches us so many things that victory does not teach us. So I mean, fail early, fail often, but the most important thing is to learn from your mistakes and not repeat. Yes,
don't repeat. Don't get caught up in this relationship cycle or this failure cycle where you keep bringing in these same women, and then what you don't want to do is blame God for the decisions you made. I'm gonna say that one more time. What you don't want to do is blame God for the decisions you made. Don't blame God for that. Blame yourself. So I'm gonna jump into the chat right quick and then see what what questions we have. I know I've seen a few pop up.
Okay.
So you have any questions for Phil? Just keep popping them up in the chat. I'm gonna scroll back. I
Yeah,
know Shannon actually.
fire away. Don't
Yeah,
be shy.
fire away. You ready?
Don't be shy. There's no
Okay.
wrong question.
One question: when you discern a narc in your life now, whether at work or in business or in family, how do you handle it?
Okay, first of all, that's an excellent question. That is an excellent question. Um, you have to use your gift of discernment that comes from God. So you have to go into your prayer closet, and you have to pray early, and you have to pray often, because your defense mechanisms will come from your prayer. Just like you when you wear a bullet resistant vest, you put that
Yeah.
vest on, and it's made out of Kevlar. It's made out of a material that is going to stop the bullet or slow the bullet down to the point to where it won't do major, hopefully, organ damage. So you have to put on your full armor of God, and you have to do that in thought, word, and deed. This is the thing. People don't prepare themselves for warfare like they should. This narcissistic relationship thing, it's war. It's a battle, and you have to look at it as a battle. You wouldn't go into battle without your weapon, your bulletproof Kevlar, your helmet, so you have to prepare for the worst before it happens. And you have to use your discernment skills. Those come through prayer, whether it's business, work, family, anything. Go to God and take it seriously, because these things can affect your life. They really can, and many people have taken their lives because of their relationship problems, and there's always hope. There's never a reason to end your life. Go to God and let God work it out, So that's an excellent question. Excellent question.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Shannon. Let me read a couple of comments before I find a couple of the questions. See, Jamal said, I had a narcissist for a CEO some years back. All I can say is God uses to take me to the next level of boldness. Amen to that. So he used, basically, like we saying, he used that what he went through to take him to his next level. Because God got a purpose for each one of us, man and woman, child, boy, girl, whatever you want to call it. He has a purpose for each of us. But if we don't go through that process, it's like they always talk about the diamond. The diamond got to go through a process before it become a diamond. It don't start out as a diamond. You don't just find it like that. I mean, it comes through a process of being a diamond to where it's cut down, and being on your wife ring and things like that, or on their necklaces or whatever. It got to go through a process. So we have to also go through that process to be able to. And again, once we ready and God know we ready, that's when them blessings start to come. Because I think a lot of times we sitting there like, man, why God ain't blessing with this? You're not ready. You're just not ready for it yet. You haven't gone all the way through the process. You might have halfway through, but God, I need you to go all the way through this, because there'll be some things gonna come up, like you're saying, some narcissistic battles, or just Satan throwing things at you. I know he's gonna do, because God knows all, sees all. I know he's gonna throw these things at you. I need you to be prepared, and like you said, have your whole armor of God on to be able to go through that process.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let's see what else we got in here. Let's see. There's just another anaerobic. It's not a question, but the new beginning after the narcissist are birthed in the old you dies with the narc pain, abuse, discard, gaslighting, and etc. Love yourself fully, knowing you deserve better, and heal fully. Amen.
That's true.
Amen. I like that. Thank you for that, Anna. I love that.
Yeah.
Yes. Again, going through that process.
Yeah. You got to be shaken, beaten, and stirred before you can be prepared for what's greater.
Let's see, Adrena said, yes, more men. Ooh, I love hearing your experiences with female abusers, narc types in particular. Hey, Adrena, we go work on that. We're gonna work on that. We're gonna try to get some more men involved. I already got one brother right here, Phil. So we'll try to get some more men involved in this. I know I follow a couple on Instagram that post about this all the time. So I'll see if maybe we can work out something within the next month or two and try to get everybody on the show. At least 4 of us on here talking about different experiences. Because I think the more men, again, talk about these situations, I think it helps not only the men, but it helps women understand some of the things some of these men going through. You're like, oh, I never knew that. I didn't know that it happened like that, you know. So yeah.
Yeah.
Adrena also say stories of victory and new beginnings. Amen.
Yeah.
Jamal say bring Uncle Phil back. The anointing is strong with this one.
Thanks, nephew. I appreciate you. I do. I appreciate you.
So I'm just
That's
going
nice.
through reading just messages. She is saying to Jamal, yes, I agree. We need this wisdom and anointing. Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. You know, we always try to help the people. That's what's important. You know, give the people
Yeah.
knowledge and exactly armor up, you know.
Armor up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know a little bit about armoring up. Going to Iraq, like you said, you can't go over there to Iraq. And like I carry the M203 for y'all that don't know, if y'all ever watch like a Rambo movie, anything like that. So basically M16 at top, so I shoot 5.56. I know I'm going a little bit deep, but anyway, I shoot 5.56 bullets on top, but I shoot grenade launcher at the bottom. So I couldn't go out there, and what I had to carry, like you said, I had the bulletproof vest on with the Kevlar, and it was real heavy. Shannon can attest, or anybody been a military, Adrena, people that wore this stuff. So I have my HE rounds, which is high explosive. I had my smoke rounds. Smoke rounds was depending on what was going on. I had to bring in a helicopter, so I would pop white smoke, green smoke. I had yellow smoke. Different smokes was different things. But I also had 10 magazines filled up to about 28 rounds a piece. So that's all the ammo I had just on my person. And then also I had a bag with extra magazines in case we got into a real fight. I never wanted to run. I mean, they give me all the rounds and magazines I needed. So I wanted to make sure we got in a situation.
Yeah.
I'm not just gonna be in there. So like you said, you have to arm up. You go arm up for war. You have to arm up for narcissist abuse or narcissist relationships too, because again, you have to put on your full armor of God. You can't just put on the salvation plate and be like, no, I'm good. That ain't how that works. You gotta put on everything. You gotta put on everything, the whole armor. You don't just put on the Kevlar and be like, okay, I'm good, and go out there and march on the battlefield. No, I need my gun. Matter of fact, sometimes I need a compass. I mean, you know, depending on what they drop is it. I need a bunch of different things in case something goes wrong. Yeah. I have to have my B plan, my C plan, and my D plan. I think a lot of times, again, we're not patient with what God is doing with us, so we don't have them B and C plan. We just blinders on, focus on this one agenda, and God wants you to go over here. He's showing you this thing over here, but I'm good. I'm going this way. God, I'm going walking off. You walk right off a cliff. Like, if you don't, you to listen to God and went that way.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You avoid a lot of hurt if you just listen and pay attention and do what you need to do. But it takes discipline. That's the thing, and we have to discipline ourselves to do what's right, because it's really easy to do everything else, and it takes discipline, mental discipline, spiritual discipline, emotional discipline. You know, like I said before, in relationships, men want to be respected and women want to feel loved. So knowing that, going into that, we can try to give each side what they need, you know, and that's important. The heart that you bring to the situation, it's important. You know, if you bring a heart that wants to love, like 1 Corinthians 13, 4-8, if you bring a heart like that and you try, that's going to be, the outcome is going to be different if you bring a hard heart to the situation, you know.
I definitely agree with that. Yeah,
it's important.
I'm just gonna read a few more. I see my friend, he had to step out. Okay, man, I appreciate you coming through. I think it was 8:33, but he probably going out. I appreciate you coming through, spending time with us, brother. Let's see what else we got before we get out of here. My wife, you do not prepare for war by acting as if it doesn't know and study your enemy, but stay focused on Yahweh. Exactly. I mean, you go out. That's exactly when we used to do it in Iraq. We had we called it snatch and grabs. So at 2-3 o'clock in the morning, you know, we had certain targets we had to go get. So we studied the enemy. We had the satellite images of the, you know, the complex or maybe the housing area they was in. And it's different over there compared to over here. Like over here, you got license plates and you can ping cell phone. Okay, well over there they had just got cell phone ability when Saddam Hussein got out. So it's a whole different story. But you know, we was able to look at, you know, different images and stuff. So we had to come up with a tactical battle plan. Hey, this is what we're going to do. So we had a meeting. Look, this is the guy we're looking for. Everybody had the picture. This the house he's supposed to be in, or he might be in this other house down the street. So sometimes we knocking down 2 houses at the same time because we're not sure which house he was in, and we'll have, hey, this guy's an explosive device maker. He's supposed to have, a couple AK-47s or whatever. So we knew going in, this is what you're preparing yourself for. So it's the same thing with narcissist abuse. Okay, if I already know, okay, like we said, we're sharing these stories about these different women. I'm not saying we bashing women, but if the word is out that women do this, just in general, men start looking at these situations a little bit different. You're not stuck on the physical, like you said, with the Coke bottle shape. You're more focused on, man, is this woman a narcissist? Is she abusive? Right. Is she lovable? Is she nice? Is she good with kids? You're looking at all that. Again, I'm not worried about the credit score. That can be fixed. Sure. I can't fix narcissist abuse. I can't fix that. I can't fix an abusive woman. I mean, they might have a therapist can do that. I'm not certified, so I can't help you with that. I'm Solomon, and I'm just a life coach. So I only can coach you up to a certain point, and then you gotta go to God and how you. I can't help you. So yeah, definitely.
I mean, it's important, like you said. Good intel saves lives, and bad intel gets people killed.
Amen.
So you have to do your due diligence, and you have to, know thy enemy. And like the saying goes, keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer. So you need to know what you're faced with so that you can act accordingly. You can't have your blinders on. You got to be real about it.
Yeah, you definitely do.
Yeah,
you definitely do. Let's read a few more, and then we're gonna jump up out of here. This narcissist kind of awaken us all to the spiritual realm and the war that is waged all around us. Amen.
Yeah,
because I think before this last situation, me and Shannon really started. She started it first and then started hitting me on to more of the narcissist thing. Because at first she'll tell you, I just kept like, man, she just crazy. I was like, nah, Solomon, look, I want you to she had to put it in front of me like this little book, hey, I need you to read this. No, this is what a narcissist is. Okay, I start reading, checking it out. Like, she fit all this criteria right here. Wait, let me read a little bit more about her.
Bing bang.
I ran across a few of these people.
Yeah. No, but Shannon brings up a great point, because at the end of the day, anything that pushes us closer to God, it's a benefit for us. So,
amen.
That's important.
Amen. Okay, let's read this one. Discipline. God need battle-tested, battle-proven soldiers in his army. Amen. You have been battle-tested. Yes. We battle-tested, Phil. Yeah,
I agree. Certified 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
USDA choice.
If you don't love yourself, who will? Love starts with you. I agree with that too, Anna. And I think that's another thing. It's like you had brought up. I know you had mentioned like the suicide thing. We have to love ourselves, and we have to realize no person on this earth is worth me killing myself over.
Right.
It's not. Especially because we see it happen too much. I think we need to touch on it just shortly before we get off here. Suicide rate is alarming, especially in the military. For y'all that don't know, a lot of people in the military, they got a high suicide rate in the military. And it's due because of wars like Iraq and different wars like that goes on is Afghanistan and things like that. So it's wars like that because what happens is that husband or that wife goes off to do battle. They gone in the army, you're going for a year. Marines usually about 6-7 months. I think the Navy is about 6-7 months too. I can't remember the other one, but anyway, so you're gone for a period of time is what I'm saying. Yeah. So that situation changes differently when you pull. It's just like the police coming in and just taking the husband and arresting them and taking him out the house for a year. So now the wife has to sit there and provide for the family and do everything on her own by herself, or vice versa. The husband has to take on these motherly duties for 3 girls in the house and don't know how to do hair. So, you're like, wait, what? Okay. One of them in a diaper, the other 2, I got to braid some hair. I don't even know how to do my own hair. So, so my thing is though, you have to, love yourself and then love the situation that God put you in, because to me, even though that spouse is gone, you got to look at that. It's only for a season. They coming back. You know what I'm saying? You praying that they coming back. So they going for a year. It's 12 months. It's like you said, when you and Millie, when you're trying to get it back, that was 9 months that y'all was apart. So again, you got to look at that situation. It's the same thing. It's no different than going to war. I mean, I know it's not the same, but it is, because y'all was separated for 9 months. Yeah. So during that time, that's when you go to God, you praying, you trying to get everything right. So knowing that your spouse is coming back. So I think a lot of times, men and women, we get that confused and like, well, they want to go to suicide and things like, man, don't kill yourself. Don't kill yourself. It's another woman out there. I promise, there's another man out there. Just because you've been through an abusive situation, whether it's physical, mental, spiritual, financially, whatever the case is, it's another person out there that's for you. That's just not the person for you. You learn from that situation and you move on.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's true. Life is so precious. Life is so precious, and it's so tender. People reach out. There's no shame in reaching out. If you're depressed to the point to where you have ideation or thoughts of hurting yourself, you can call Solomon, call me, whatever it takes. Life is precious.
And again, this is how you get in touch with Phil. I want to throw that back up there before we get out of here. I didn't put them all because I didn't want to think it was like too big. But Phil, again, before we get out of here, I want you to go ahead, talk about your podcast and talk about how they can get in touch with you before we get out of here. And we will go ahead and wrap this up. So go ahead, and the floor is yours, buddy.
Thanks, Solomon. Listen, this has been a blessing for me, to be able to share time with you and to talk to your audience on your excellent show. I'm grateful to you, and I give all the glory and honor to God for this opportunity. I am the executive producer of a podcast. It's called Light 'em Up, and you can find that podcast on any major platform under the sun. You could type in Apple and then type in Light 'em Up, and it's just LIGHTEMUP, Light 'em Up, and we're on any major platform. I would be honored if you would listen to any one of our shows. We'd be grateful to you. You can reach out to me at Rizzo's Protective Group on the YouTube channel. And Solomon, you can reach Solomon and he'll give you my information. I'm here as a resource to help. We do a lot of work pro bono, absolutely cost-free to the public. We'll help you with security information. We'll help you with IT defense, criminal defense, things like that. We got a lot of things going on right now. And, I'm just grateful to be able to spend time with you. I hope we were able to share some information that helped at least one person. And like I said, I give all the glory to God, and I thank you. I thank you, Solomon, for this opportunity.
Exactly. Man, you're welcome. And I thank you for coming out because, when we talked about it, it was like, man, it just came together again. When God brings his children together, it just flows. So it just flowed. It was like, man, okay, got to get this guy on the show. And it wasn't even about that, because, we've been talking a lot. Like, for y'all that don't know, I'll tell y'all a little quick story. We started out like on LinkedIn, just talking, and then that progressed to us talking on like Instagram and stuff. And then we started coming into YouTube. We started text messaging, and then finally we just started talking on the phone. Like, man, all this texting, so let's go ahead and talk on the phone. So we talk on the phone now, a little bit more, and then we're able to share stories and just forming a brotherly bond. And that's, to me, I think a lot of time, again, men don't go out of their way and do things like that. So to find a brotherly bond like that you can have, it's awesome. Same thing like with me and Jamal. Like Jamal, we don't talk on the phone as much, but we always able to text or just talk on LinkedIn and just, hey brother, how you doing? You don't see a lot of men doing it. They won't check on each other. They're like, man, that man got he over there doing his own thing. So I think the more and more men see men showing love, the love will grow and it'll spread. And I think that filters down to relationships and things like that. Because you can learn from another man that, hey man, like, what did you do in this situation when you was with this woman? And they're able to learn from that. To me, at the end of the day, that's what it's about.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's no shame in telling a brother that you love him as your brother. There's no shame in looking out for another person, because at the end of the day, we are our brother's keeper, and we need to look out for one another, because this life can be hard. It can be hard. But if we work together, if we stay, united in lock, stock and barrel, in unison, it'll make the process a lot easier. It will.
Amen to that. And that's what we are trying to do. We're just trying to provide a little change and then some hope for people that's been through narcissist abuse, whether it's female or male. I know this one was dealing with female narcissist relationship cycle, but just know going through that, it's hope, and it's, you have your fate. you can actually find another relationship. Now, like Phil mentioned, you do have to go through that healing process. It's a process. You know, your process will be different from the person across the street that went through the same thing. So just realize that. We just want you to know that you can get help, and you have to go to God. You have to go, like Phil mentioned too. Go to your war room, go to that closet, or go to that, whatever that special place is. We're saying closet, but wherever it is, I mean, if it's your office or in your car or whatever it is, and go to God in prayer and realize, like Shannon always say, this is spiritual warfare. We're dealing with these narcissists, and I think a lot of times we get caught up, we see flesh and blood. It's more to it than that. It's an evil demonic spirit inside that person that's making them do the things that they do. And at the end of the day, that's what I want y'all to know. I want y'all to just know that, you know, hey, it's not just you. It's other brothers out there that have been through these situations. Phil can attest to it. That's why he's on the show. I done been through it, and you know, it's a lot of us that done been through it. So hopefully in the near future, we're gonna get together, get some other guys to come and tell their stories. So that way it opens up the spectrum on how many people has actually been, well, I say people, how many men has actually been in situations that we always hear the women talk about.
Yeah.
We hear the women talk about it, like I say, 24/7. But how many men are willing to actually talk about this and share, and that way other brothers can learn? You know, and I'm saying brothers, white, black, green, whatever. I'm saying men, brothers have been through these situations, because narcissists has no color. They, you know what I'm saying? They whatever, you know. So again, Phil, man, I appreciate it. I thank you for coming out, spending this time with me. And man, it was fun. It was fun, and but it wasn't just fun. The knowledge that you brought to the subject, it made it just flow. And I think a lot of people got a lot of information out of that. So that's what's great about it, when you can come on the show and then people can actually learn some of these things. Because some of the things you broke down, I didn't know. You didn't share that with me, Phil, so I didn't know. But I wrote some of them down and I learned, you know what I'm saying? So, but it's just good to know, you know what I'm saying, these things, that I can tell somebody else these things, and I also can pass your information off to them, you know, to help you out. Where people can just, hey, let me go talk to Phil and see, you know, what's going on, you know, because I don't know everything. No. You don't know everything, but I can point you in the right direction in a lot of things. I can tell you that much. So
yeah, that's true.
I'll give you the person that you might need to talk to. So that's, at the end of the day, like we keep saying, if we can help one person, whether you're watching this live or watching this replay, we can help this one person know that you can call me, you can reach out to me. My thing's strolling at the bottom, faith-based workplace. Phil thing is still up there at the top. Just know that you can reach out to us, and then they got other people that have been in narcissist abuse, and you can still reach out to them. My wife is always in the chat. Adrena is always in the chat. The other people are in the chat. They know, trust me, they know about narcissist abuse from, you know what I'm saying, male or female, they know. And some of them is moms and brothers and sisters. So it's a lot of different avenues that we can cover, and we're going to continue to cover. And I look forward to, like I said, bringing more men on and talking about this and just putting a different spin on this situation that we call narcissist abuse. Again, this is faith-based workplace. My brother Phil, thank y'all for coming out, and we'll see y'all next Friday. And then, before I go, my wife, I want to say she should have a premiere tomorrow at 7 p.m. and she'll be live Sunday at 7 p.m. at North Free Living. So y'all go ahead and check her out. Go to subscribe to her channel. She got awesome content. You know, follow on TikTok. I don't do TikTok, but she dropped these TikTok videos like all the time, and she put a lot of thought process into these things. They cool. I like them. I watch them. I don't know nothing about TikTok. I don't even have the app, but you know, follow over there and follow on TikTok, and you know, all her information at www.notfreeliving.com. Again, Phil, thank you, brother. It was an honor, and I appreciate you coming on the show and just doing this with me. Good night, everybody, and we'll see y'all next time.
Okay.